April 2nd, 2025. The day Donald Trump decided to flex economic power and ended up exposing American weakness to the world. In a press conference dripping with delusion, he announced a blanket 34% tariff on all Chinese imports. He called it economic liberation. What it really was? Economic suicide. Because while Washington was chest-thumping, Beijing was 3 steps ahead, calm, calculated, and prepared. This wasn't the start of a trade war. This was the start of America's economic unraveling, and once again, China didn't even need to fight, it just had to watch. Please take a moment to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. The escalation timeline, from bluff to breakdown. Let's walk through America's descent into economic idiocy. First, Trump hits China with 34% tariffs. That already rattled markets. But Beijing? No whining, no outrage, just a 34% counterpunch, swift, clean, measured. Trump couldn't handle that China didn't flinch, so he did what any insecure empire does. He doubled down. He screamed, "Make America great again," and jacked tariffs up to 104%. That's not strategy, that's desperation. China calmly responded with 84% tariffs, targeting sectors the U.S. can't afford to lose: agriculture, aviation, semiconductors. Washington thought China would panic. Instead, China just reminded the world, this isn't our first trade war, but it might be your last. China's counterstrike, no noise, just precision. While Trump threw punches in every direction, China hit exactly where it mattered. No bluster, no slogans, just scalpel-level precision. China targeted U.S. soybeans, corn, pork, wheat, the backbone of rural America. These aren't just exports, they're the lifeline of Trump's political base. Beijing knew exactly what it was doing. Hit the farm economy, and you hit the illusion of American strength. Then China went for industrial soft spots, aerospace components, semiconductors, heavy machinery. These industries were already fragile. Now, they're choking under the pressure. Meanwhile, China diversified years ago. ASEAN, Africa, Latin America, all growing importers of Chinese goods. So when the U.S. slammed the door, China had already built other exits. Rare earths, China's ace card, America's nightmare. Here's the part no one in Washington wants to admit. China owns the high ground in modern warfare, the resource war. 7 critical rare earths were placed under export restrictions by China: samarium, gadolinium, dysprosium, terbium, holmium, ytterbium, lutetium. These aren't fancy minerals. These are essential for U.S. missiles, jet engines, radar systems, satellites, nuclear submarines, the foundations of modern American defense. China controls over 90% of rare earth refining. It doesn't just mine them, it processes them. The U.S. doesn't have the capacity, not even close. So while Washington plays tariff games, China just tightened the chokehold on the U.S. military-industrial complex. Beijing didn't need to threaten. It just said, we'll keep these minerals at home for now. And the Pentagon panicked. The U.S. economy isn't built for long wars. China's economy is built for endurance, 5-year plans, central coordination, industrial policy that actually functions, quarterly earnings. The United States? It's built on quarterly earnings and emotional markets. The second costs go up, Wall Street loses its mind. The moment inflation creeps in, the Fed starts spinning in circles. Tariffs jack up input prices, factories stall, supply chains crumble, and the consumer? They pay double for the same garbage they bought last year. American companies can't just move on from China. They're dependent on Chinese components, labor, and tech. Trump forgot that American manufacturing doesn't exist without Chinese supply chains. The United States economy is like a glass tower, looks shiny, but crack it once, and the whole thing starts to collapse. America's farmers, political pawns, economic roadkill. No group gets humiliated more in this saga than American farmers. China was their biggest buyer, especially for soybeans and pork. With the new tariffs, China walked away overnight. And trust me, they're not coming back. You think Brazil, Argentina, or Southeast Asia won't take America's place? They already are. The result? U.S. crop prices tanked. Storage silos are full. Bankruptcies are back. Farmers who voted for Trump thinking he'd save them are now watching their livelihoods get auctioned off. This isn't just economic failure. It's betrayal. Trump used farmers as cannon fodder. And China? It simply moved on to more reliable partners. China's global play: build, trade, dominate. While America isolates itself with tariffs and tweets, China is expanding in every direction. Scene 2. Trade and infrastructure. Trade deals with ASEAN, currency swaps with Russia, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, infrastructure projects from Africa to Central Asia. Every time the US says no, China builds another alternative. BRICS Plus is turning into a powerhouse. The yuan is being used in oil trades. African nations are openly backing Chinese investment over Western handouts. China is creating a new economic order, quietly, strategically, and the world is following, not out of fear, but because no lectures, no coups, no hypocrisy. Wall Street crashes, Beijing smirks. As the 104% tariffs kicked in, U.S. markets did what they always do, crashed. Tech stocks dipped, industrial indexes fell, investor confidence evaporated, inflation fears spiked again. Wall Street started begging the White House for sanity. But Beijing? Countries are more inclined to them than ever. The yuan stayed stable. The government reassured exporters, boosted subsidies, and expanded domestic demand. This is what happens when you have strategy instead of shouting. While Wall Street panics over vibes, China keeps building factories, writing trade deals, and collecting global influence. America's economic future: bleak, battered, and isolated. Here's the real cost of Trump's tariffs, and no one in the West wants to say it out loud. The United States is killing its own economic future. Manufacturing will shrink, innovation will stall, supply chains will leave, countries will dump the dollar. China won't even have to fight, it'll just wait. Tariffs are taxation. Inflation is inevitable. Markets will fragment, and the next generation of economic powerhouses, they're already looking to China for leadership. What's left for the United States? Rage, isolation, and memories of a past it no longer owns. The final blow: China didn't react, it calculated. This wasn't a reaction from China, it was a calculation. The United States came into this trade war emotionally, slamming tariffs like a hammer without thinking about the consequences. China came in with data, strategy, and a clear understanding of how this ends. And it ends exactly like this: China standing taller, more connected, more self-reliant, while the United States limps forward, fractured, debt-ridden, and increasingly irrelevant. Trump's tantrums didn't weaken China, they forced it to evolve faster, to become even more resilient, more globally integrated, and more indispensable to the rest of the world. Every punishment the United States tried only accelerated China's independence from Western markets, Western tech, and Western currency systems. And that's not a temporary shift, it's permanent. While Washington exhausts itself chasing yesterday's power games, China is building the infrastructure, alliances, and technological foundation for the next century. Green energy, global logistics, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, rare earths, space tech, and currency realignment. China is positioning itself at the center of all of it. Not because it wants to dominate, but because it's the only one with a long-term plan, with consistency, and with the discipline to execute. The United States is too distracted by politics, too addicted to short-term wins, too unwilling to adapt. This tariff war didn't delay China's rise, it clarified it. So while America scrambles to clean up the mess it made, China will continue to do what it has always done: move forward, stabilize its sphere, and quietly shape the next world order. No slogans, no speeches, just results. This isn't the end of a trade war, it's the beginning of a new era with China at the helm. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content.